So on my extreme, Andrea, the German national who's come into a small village in Rajasthan, and I don't want to take your thunder away, she's got a story to tell you. What exactly she was doing there, the kind of ups and downs she's facing there to really make a difference to the lives of the community out there. Andy from the UK does something called Cricket for Change. So all of us who know cricket, and cricket of course is the most popular sport in India, although the national game is hockey, which nobody, unfortunately for Andy, cares about. But having said that, the way Cricket for Change uses cricket to integrate, it was something of a learning for Magic Bus as well, because we never touched cricket till Andy came into our lives, thinking that, cricket is a sport where, there are 11 fielders who kind of hang around doing nothing, and there are two people, one somebody is batting, somebody is bowling, they're the only two who are engaged. What do the rest of them do? So if you have a 35-minute period in a school session, what the hell can 22 players do? But then he came up with a whole bag of tricks on, including all of them. So we have now batting games, bowling games, fielding games, Street 20 as a format. Again, I don't want to steal your thunder. I know your program, so I'm giving a bit of the details. But it's a wonderful tool for, but it's not cricket that you see on television. It's a completely different sport. And of course, Andy is going to tell you more about that. To my left, I have the privilege of inviting Kalyani, a very dear friend and a co-partner under our ASOP program. She runs the NAS Foundation, the goal program, which uses netball as a sport and is only for girls. That's my biggest grouse against her. She just does it for girls and leaves the poor souls like us out, which is not the best way to handle things. But yeah, she's got her own reasons why she does that, and I'm sure she's going to talk about that. And the young man on my extreme left, Kishore, he has a very unique presence here because, come what may, a lot of the sports that I've just mentioned so far are still mainstream sports. He does surfing. And to actually have a community movement in a country like India that's very, very poor on, anything to do with sea, except for fishing, of course. And to get people into surfing is something of a story that I'm really yearning to hear because I've not interacted with Kishore enough to know his side of the story. So without boring you too much on my monologue, let me immediately introduce Kalyani, who's the first speaker. Oh, that's the sequence I have.
That's right.
So Kalyani is going to make her speech, and you have a presentation as well, so you'd like to use that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Please.
I can use here, that's fine. This is how a netball looks. Yeah. Very often I'm asked, what's the difference between what's netball? And we went to a vendor once, Vivek and me, and they said, oh, ek net hota hai, there's one net and one ball you throw across. And I said, oh, that's volleyball. So I said, let me bring netball to the room. If you can imagine, when we started the program, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 44 degrees in the Delhi heat, you go to a community where you have girls between the ages of 12 and 16. Most of them are bare feet, having come to play at that time only because they've filled the water and done the household chores. And then when you're looking at the game, you see a netball. This is so big. It's being passed to one of the girls. And when the ball comes to her, she does not put her hand out to hold the ball. Neither does she duck. She gets hit by this ball straight in the face. This is something which I didn't believe because I have played sport all my life and I thought that that's something we take for granted. You see a ball, you'll pick it up. If it's a football, you'll kick. If there was a netball in the house, my son would say, of course you can't kick a netball, it's not kicked. But the fact that a netball, the girls would respond where they would not put their hands out and hold the ball or even duck from getting hit was something which I discovered, and I realized that keeping in mind every child's right to play, we were very far removed from reality. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I run the goal program. I think I need, okay. No, fine. It's okay. I can do it. The NAS Foundation, the organization I work with, is known for its work on HIV and sexuality. We've been working in this space in the last 16 years, running programs for people living with the infection. We run a home for children living with HIV. We also run a large program for men who have sex with men, working on issues of homosexuality and gay rights. What then is the connection with homosexuality, HIV, and sport? Having worked in this space for so many years, we realized that young women who were at 15 and 16 in monogamous relationships, so they were married at 14, and at 16 they were coming to antenatal clinics and testing positive. So we realized years of work with HIV, prevention programs, behavior change communication, sending out IEC material, we did everything. But we saw that the HIV prevalence in these women was still high. So we realized that we needed to look at prevention through another lens. If girls can't negotiate marriage at 16, they don't want to get married and they're still getting married. If they want to study further, once they're married, if they don't want to have a child at 17, they obviously didn't have the skills to negotiate a delay in their marriage or education. So we said, what is this other lens that we could employ to get these girls to make informed decisions? It is funny because Standard Chartered Bank at the same time thought, let's look at India, large market, many number of girls, not investing, not working in banks, not completing education. So Standard Chartered Bank and the NAS Foundation came together and we said, why not pilot a program where we look at engaging girls, adolescent girls using sport. Half of my colleagues were unconvinced. They thought that it is a mad idea because enough boys don't play. You look at any open ground in Delhi. Delhi is filled with parks. Mumbai, you look at Oval Maidan, Azad Maidan, any open ground, you will see boys playing cricket. Everybody playing cricket. Smaller grounds, they're playing football or even gulli danda, but you don't see girls moving freely. So though we started very unsurely, we said, why not experiment with the sport? Netball, like I said, a cousin of basketball. We said it's an exclusive women's sport, a Commonwealth legacy, didn't become popular because cricket became more popular. Women's sport was netball. Netball didn't really become popular, but it's played all over in the country. We started working with girls 12 to 16 years old, typically from economically disadvantaged families where both the parents are working, the mother's working as maids, fathers working in small companies or vendors selling vegetables, some girls who are going to municipal schools, many of them dropping out after grade 10, some also engaged in traditional programs like embroidery, going to small work units, and most of them facing the threat of early marriage and not making choices. We devised this program where we said, let's look at sport. And most parents said, she can't even make a pancake properly. What is she going to do learning netball? So we realized that, yes, sport is important. You need to teach the sport well, but what is the outcome? Is it only to have more girls to come and play competitive sport and take part in tournaments? We realized that sport really served as that dynamic vehicle, that medium through which we brought out change. I cannot undermine the value of the sport in itself because today we have more than 500 girls who have taken part in netball tournaments. But when we look at engaging with the community, the point is, what outcomes are you looking at with the girl? So we devised a curriculum. We engage girls in municipal schools as well as in open slum communities. Typically, we have 100 to anywhere 500 girls who are split up in batches of 50 girls, and they're engaged 2 times a week, delivering life skills and sport. So right at this playing field, they delivered the life skills, as well as they learn to play the sport. Girls who exhibit leadership ability, it's very natural. They come, they learn the sessions, and then they're willing to teach others. They are taken as peer leaders, and they, in the second batch, reach out to their peers, enabling us to reach out to more girls. And today we've had 10,000 girls who have been to the program, and it's a 10-month curriculum. Why netball? Quickly, I'd say that Pratik often says, why netball and why not for boys? We have girls who come to us at the age of 12. Very often, many of them have never played any sport before. They have not even skipped before. And we run the program essentially in municipal schools with girls. And when we run the sessions, parents often ask, are boys going to play? And the reason they send the girls to the program is because boys don't play the sport. We definitely agree that we need to engage boys and men, because there's no point in looking at a program exclusively for girls, that boys and men are an equally important part of this dialogue of women's empowerment. But at this stage, when we are nowhere close to an equitable situation, where we don't have enough of resource and program funding for boys, where we don't have spaces which are easily accessible for girls, we make a choice about investing with girls only. The fact that we have a program where we have all girls, the fact that we have a 90+ retention rate, and the fact that they can continue even when they're 17 and 18, and all the coaches on the program are girls from within the program. So resource-wise, it is not resource intensive. It is a team sport. Even if I don't like her, but if she's on my team, I have to pass the ball. Unlike basketball, you can't go with the ball across and shoot on your own. So in our communities, when there is a caste divide, there is a class divide, even among the disadvantaged, netball serves as a very cohesive sport, helping team building. We have 4 areas that we work with the girls on. We start with communication skills. Girls who are not able to maintain eye contact, who can't tell you who they are with a name, who are shy. We start with saying, be yourself, understanding communication, gender roles, dealing with conflict, moving to the body. The menstrual hygiene is a very big piece, because many of our girls still think that the baby comes out of the stomach. They don't know there's an organ like a uterus. So for someone to talk on these issues, accessing safe spaces, because they can't go back and talk on these issues at home. So the whole piece on health looks at menstrual hygiene, looks at reproduction, the changes in the body, issues of HIV, understanding how we address preventing HIV. Be Empowered looks at dealing with violence, dealing with abuse, addressing issues of eve teasing, understanding the rights of young people and their responsibilities. And finally, financial literacy. Every young woman needs to understand that she is a unit of change and an agent of change, and understanding basic savings and budgeting. All this would not have been possible if we didn't have partners on the ground. The schools that we work with, the NGOs in the community, the funding organizations, the sport agencies, because you can't implement a sport-based program if you can't deliver high-quality sport. Netball Australia, the Australian Sports Outreach Program, has been extremely supportive, and today we're able to train other organizations to use netball, and also our coaches are able to train girls to participate in trainings, in netball tournaments. The whole change that you see, people keep saying, how can you say someone can stand taller today? She's only 5'2". But the fact that the person participates in a sport program and can maintain eye contact, and the fact that they can stand tall happens because of the sport. The link between the life skills and practicing those skills on the field. Life is not easy, it's very competitive. There is failure, but you understand success and failure best when you're playing the sport. The link between conflict, understanding communication, gender issues happens right on the playing field. So the changes in these girls, this girl is today a coach on the program, but she's gone through the program as being a participant, working as a team, practicing leadership. So we are able to give more leadership opportunities to many girls today. That's the scene of the ICC Women's Cricket Tournament. They had so much of security, but there was no one to watch the match. Yeah. So we realized that, yes, when you're looking at a sports-based program, it is about promoting the sport, but it is also changing attitudes of people to women's sport and women in leadership positions as well as women coaching. It's wonderful to have another lady on the panel. Most of the times when I present, we just have all men, and there are very few ladies in this space. So for us, it is about how do you get these girls to access more places? How do they access more competitive sport places? So that for us is a great challenge. And also to say how these girls can be linked to employment opportunities, because people think that sport is not going to be lucrative. But How do you enhance the caliber? How do you provide training for more and more girls to look at the sport? Even competitive netball. We've realized now that we are able to send so many of our girls for competitive sport. So definitely doing high quality netball, but at the same time doing the sport in such a way where more girls get opportunities to participate in sport, pick up other sports. It feels wonderful that so many of the girls trained by the Gold program today are working in Magic Bus because they are trained female coaches. So I think that's what we want to say. How do we overcome these challenges and provide more opportunities where girls can access these spaces? Thank you.
Thank you, Kalyani. And it's kind of amazing how women notice that there are no women on the panel.
Yes.
Because I had 3 women complain in the morning session that they're all men. How dare you do this? Yeah, in fact, there were a lot of suggestions to that. But nobody told me anything when day before, yesterday, we had everybody, all women on the safeguarding panel. I had never got any comments on either way. Anyway, thank you, Kalyani. It's lovely to hear you. Mr. Manish Kumar, who's on the list here from the badminton, we wanted him to present the badminton case, which is growing in huge popularity in India. We now have a league, which is a kind of a professional league on the lines of the IPL, the huge cricket success story we have from India. But unfortunately, he got pulled into a meeting. He can't make it here. So can I now request Andy to make his presentation?
That was a wonderful presentation, and it was very relevant for my life at the minute. I've got an 8-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old daughter. My Saturday mornings are spent watching netball, and I'm learning all the time. I grew up playing cricket and rugby. I played a little bit of netball, but I'm learning to love it. And perhaps I'll be a coach soon. I'll get some boys playing. And we're called Cricket for Change, but we're not just cricket. As Pratik kindly said, we've had great enjoyment working with Magic Bus. We've learnt so much. I expect most of you know the esteem that they're held around the world. Magic Bus are the leaders in the sector that we're talking about in many ways. So I feel very honoured to be here. I've noticed some Australians have snuck into the room over here, Pratik. And for the cricket fans amongst you, you know why we don't want them in the room. Sorry, we'll talk afterwards. England aren't doing very well at cricket at the minute, and it's the Aussies' fault. Anyway, Cricket for Change, what are we about? Well, we're not about finding the next great player, although I'm about to talk about a very great player that's working with us at the minute. We're about using the game to have social impact, to change the lives of young people that are facing disadvantage in whatever way it may be. And because we've been around quite a while, we've got quite a diverse number of programs. So we run a specific program in London for young people who are refugees, mainly Afghan males. My fantastic colleague over here, Nav, is just starting a leadership and mentoring program for girls and young women, using all sorts of sports and sometimes not really even sport at all. We run a very large disability cricket program, and there's a fantastic speaker this afternoon, George Abraham, who is a wonderful, wonderful guy if you have time to speak with him. We know George from when he set up the World Blind Cricket Council about 15 years ago. He's done amazing things for blind people. And so we use all sorts of sports to work with all sorts of young people. We're working with rugby at the minute, and we're just starting a dance program. But of all the staff we've got, cricket is really at the heart of a lot of what they do. So there we go, simple enough. That's very small. Something's happened to this, but never mind, I'll have to speak it instead. So we use cricket as a vehicle to develop young people. Well, that's a common message that we're all hearing. Increasing using rugby, other sports, dance. Just to give some sense of scale, in 2013 we worked with around 10,000 young people. Nav is our impact manager, and she'll tell me off in a minute, and she'll say, no, you've got the figure wrong, but let's say that. And we had a bit of an increase in 2012 because, as with everybody else, probably in the UK, we were running Olympic legacy programs, and very proudly in that year, in 2012, over 4,000 young people with disability were introduced to cricket, and all the joys and friendships and networks of being able to play just in London. So we were very proud of that. 30% of our young people roughly have a disability. Just to give you an idea again of scale, our annual budget is about 1.3 million US. We currently run 15 different programs, and for those of you that raise money, we have 32 different funding partners, so that's a good and a bad thing in many ways. As we said, we target young offenders, gang members, young people with a disability, and increasingly, but it's something we've always done, we say to the young people who also have come through our program, our delivery team, our mentors, our leaders have all come through the program, and we say to them all the time, if you have an idea, put it together as a plan, pitch it to the team, we'll help them put together a business plan, we'll help get funding, and they can be running their own program, and that's a very big part of what we do. We'll be running a program in a Syrian refugee camp later this year. We're very fortunate that we get invited quite often to help other people capacity build their organisations, train, share all sorts of ideas, and this is something we've been asked to do, and people say, cricket in a Syrian refugee camp, what's all that about? But as Pratik kindly said, we don't do the type of cricket that people will see on TV. Everyone dressed in white, takes 3, 4, 5 days, you stop for tea and biscuits and lunch and all that stuff. We do hardly any of that, although it is wonderful to do that if you can find time. Most of our work is like a game of netball, like a game of five-side football, like a game of basketball. It takes 10 minutes, it's very quick, everyone's involved. We call our particular form of cricket Street 20, has 6 people on each side, everyone gets to bat and bowl. And in a refugee camp situation, people have said that would really work. In that particular situation as well, people have said to us, the people that are advising us at the minute have said, it won't be seen as a boys' game. So we can work with boys and girls, we work with young and old. And we always keep a very close eye on young people with a disability, to either run programs specifically for young people with a disability or to integrate them into wider programs. So it'll be a really interesting environment for us to work in. As I said, last 10 years we've worked in around 20 different countries, and we've learned just as much from the people we've worked with on the ground, and again with the Magic Bus fantastic team, as we teach other people. It's a two-way process very much. And at the minute I think we employ about 51 people in the UK. 40% of our staff have a disability. I think about a quarter or third are female. Our newest partnership is with this great man. Now the Indian cricket fans in the room will know about Chris Gale. For those you don't know about him, he's a superstar, I think it would be fair to say, in this country. Chris is Jamaican. He seems to be about 7 foot tall, but he's probably not. He's an incredibly charismatic, talented cricketer that really has helped make the IPL, the Indian Premier League, what it is today, I think it would be fair to say. But he's reached a stage in his life that he wants to put something back. He had health issues when he was growing up. He was very skinny, he had heart problems. He didn't have an education that really set him up for anything but cricket in lots of ways. And he wants to work with the young people in the streets of Kingston and Jamaica, where he was brought up, and put something back using cricket. And he's approached us because we're able to develop and create programs that can have a social impact. And we'll be working, we're just starting with him now. We've had a year of his academy in London, where we've taken 16 young people that are decent cricketers, but none of them are ever going to be professional cricketers. That's not what it's about. They're young people facing all sorts of challenges. So there'll be a couple of guys who have a learning disability, a couple that are refugees, a couple that have been in trouble with the police or been in prison, and they come together as a team and do 2 things. They learn about leadership, and they learn about personal responsibility, but they play some games of cricket as well. There's the great man at our centre. So, what is the Chris Gale Academy? Well, it's a partnership between us and Chris's foundation in Jamaica. We'll have an academy, we've got an academy in London, we'll have one launched in Jamaica in June. And this is just an example to show, I said a lot of our cricket isn't that type of cricket. Well, the Chris Gale Academy, the team, is, funny enough, and it's quite rare for us. So these young people will all have a personal backstory, if you like, about things that have happened to them and why they have been selected, chosen to have the support we can offer them. And they do get high quality cricket support just for 1 year initially. So they're usually aged 16 to 21 to join the academy. Most of them have been involved in gang-related criminal activity or some other problem that's affecting their life negatively. They're not likely to be in education, employment or training, as we've said, from a range of backgrounds. And this is the important part that runs through all of our programs, and I've heard this described by all sorts of speakers, and it's again, a very good thing. We all have curriculums for each program. Magic Bus, again, led the way in developing different curriculums for young people at different ages. And we have our young people, they will play their cricket or their sport, and they will also have a personal development plan that tackles their own personal development. So literally in the same document, they will have their coach's comments about their batting or their bowling or their fitness, but on the same page, they'll also have things about their timekeeping, about their attitude to authority, about their health, about all of the things that we all know so well. And it just happens that if you have Chris Gale sort of saying, pointing a finger at you, it can make a difference. And it's interesting how he positions this type of work in Jamaica, which I'll come on to. So as we said, there'll be two elements of development, their cricket and development of their employability. As we all know, in the end, if young people can't earn money, become independent in that way, it can really limit their development. Year-round sessions, all of our stuff that we do, it's nothing to do with cricket seasons. We don't stop as soon as the summer's over. It's all year round engagement with young people, and it's very local to where they live. So here we go. This is just to say that the guys you've just seen practicing will have opportunity to play 12 matches. Now, funnily enough, some of them have been offered trials for professional teams. So it may be that we do identify cricketing talent, but that's a bonus. It's really not about what we're about. There we go. That's playing on our ground. We're very lucky to have a lovely cricket ground with a training centre and classrooms. But this perhaps is the most important point. On graduation, and this is particularly about the Jamaican Academy that I'm talking about now, well, I'll go on to talk about, this is what I framed up with Chris, this is what he wants to happen in Kingston. On graduation, so they'll have a year with the Academy, they'll play their cricket, they'll learn to be a coach, they'll learn about leadership. They will then be able to go out into the schools of Kingston and deliver a programme, which again is tackling all the issues we talked about, and be able to put something back basically. And for a lot of the young people we work with that have faced problems in their life, a lot of the time they spend just looking after themselves, making sure they stay out of trouble and got enough food and enough money. But this is about turning it around, saying, right, come on, time to put something back. And it's a really exciting time for our young people and for us. So the programme that Chris has created with us, it's a 16-week cricket programme with a very strong message young people are about making the most of their education, hanging on in there to get as much education as possible and start thinking about what they want to do in terms of their employability. So Chris has developed this idea of Chris's Big Six. Well, for the cricketers in the room, you'll know what Chris's Big Six is. He basically hits the ball a very long way, so it's a cricketing term, but he's using it to get the kids focused on a number of things. That's just him with the guys in England. So Chris's Big Six are making good choices, understanding the consequences of your actions. He points out that a lot of the young people in Kingston will be under great pressure to be drawn into gang-related, drug-related activity that is literally on their doorstep. And again, he wants to get the ones that may be drawn into a rocky road to some very difficult situations to really get to understand that if they make this choice, what bad things can happen to them. If they make another choice, what good things can happen to them. It's a very strong part of his messaging. It's about setting achievable goals. He's very interesting to sit with as a cricketer. I'm a cricketer, not anything like he is. But to talk about how he sets his goals, so he can talk with the young people about goal setting. And they're very simple, his goals. It's very interesting. He's a very, very successful cricketer. It's very, very basic ways to look at goal setting. Working hard, well, we all know that. But again, not every young person realises quite how hard you have to work to get to where you want to get to. Looking after your health, again, we all know about that. And respecting others. This is a really important part to Chris. In year one, he realises that because of who he is and because of cricket being seen in a particular way in Jamaica, that it's likely to attract a lot of boys and young men. But in year 2, he wants to change the emphasis to make it about girls and young women, which is very interesting coming from a sport that is very male dominated. So if the young people, they go through a curriculum for 18 weeks tackling these issues, and we'll weave all of these ideas into the cricket. So there'll be catching games that are around leadership, there'll be batting games about health. If they'll be assessed at the beginning about their understanding, and at the end they'll be assessed again, and if they pass, they get a certificate presented by Chris. So Chris is going to build into his time being able to go around the schools and give out certificates, which is quite an impactful thing. So it has 5 main aims: increased attendance and attainment at school, improve access to good quality and relevant further education training, increase respect for women and girls, improve skills and life prospects for young people at risk, increase pride in their communities. Again, I think things that will be very familiar to a lot of you working in this field. And finally, the aim for the next 3 years is to develop awareness of his work and his approach to this. He really wants to learn more. I did invite him here actually, but he as a professional cricketer, he's on a whirlwind tour of playing here, there and everywhere. But at some stage, we will get him here. And obviously he plays for Bangalore, so he's nearby during the IPL. And that's it, and that's Chris with his guys. As you can see, this is very typical of the type of young people we'd work with in London, from all range of different ethnic minority backgrounds. And there we go. Hope you found that interesting. There we go, thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Maybe I would encourage a few of you to talk to him about his Afghanistan experience. So beyond the gang warfare and the knife culture and the gang crimes that he's talking about, there's a lot of peace element that can come in through cricket. And Afghanistan is huge in cricket now. And I think it can make a substantial impact. Thank you so much. And we will move on to our youngest speaker, Kishore. Let's hear about surfing from you.
Thank you very much, Pratik. Very privileged to be here and in front of all of you, and to be able to give this speech about the new sport. So first we'll start off with this one interesting video, then I'll continue the presentation.
Southeast India, a small village by the sea. Where the only relationship the villagers have with the sea is fishing. For thousands of years, they have led the same simple lives. In recent years, their heavy dependency on fishing has brought harsh times for the new generation of Kovalam village. Little did they know that their relationship with the sea would soon change forever. Surfboard and a fisherman with a will to learn. This is the story of Kovalam and Murti. The fisherman who learnt to surf.
My name is Murthy. I am Kovalam village, fisherman people.
Yotam, an audio engineer, has been surfing in Kovalam for the past 6 years.
Alright, listen, I'm on the way. I'm in Sholangilur, something like that. Sholangulur, how do you say? Solingalalur. Yalla, see you soon. Bye.
Green tar board எடுத்து கௌதம் எனக்கு gift பண்ணாரு. ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாயிடுச்சு அந்த போர்டு கொடுத்தோன்னே எனக்கு அதை விட சந்தோஷம் வேறு எதுவுமே கிடையாது அவ்வளோ சந்தோஷமாயிடுச்சு அதுக்கப்புறம் அந்த போர்டில் நான் சர்வ் பண்ண ஆரம்பித்தேன்
And so began Murthy's passion to surf.
அப்போ நான் ஒரு நாள் எடுத்ததில் ரொம்ப இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் ஆகிடுச்சு எனக்கு அதுலேருந்து சர்ஃபிங் பண்ணணும் ரொம்ப ஒரு குறிக்கோளோடு இருந்தேன் Murthy in the water? கோவளத்தில் தான் இயங்கி வருது எனக்கு சர்ஃபிங் பண்ணுறதுனா ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும் எனக்கு
Since Murthy began, he's inspired youngsters like Vicky and Venkat to discover the passion for surfing.
நீ கோவத்தில் பார்த்தா அவர் தான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு கற்றுந்தா போல
கற்றுக்கிறேன் அந்த ஆர்வத்தில் ஃபுல்லாக பீச்சில்
கோச் அவர் தான் மூர்த்தி தான்
My dream, my amazing dream, surfing is cool. I thinking every day. I'm already will try last year going. This year starting, I'm very happy.
But as Yotam soon finds out, one of the many obstacles Murthy faces to start his school is the lack of surfboards.
Look the board, my friends. This is my old board in 2002.
It's very old.
Yeah.
This boat?
This board, no one in Israel. This board used me and in my house only 10 boards. Full old board. It's not good old board. I need new surfboards.
Cove Long Point, the story of a fisherman who learnt to surf. And his dream to start a surf school, giving hope to a new generation in southeast India.
Yeah, so hope everybody liked it. So So yeah, that was a story of a fisherman who took up the sport, and now he has established a surf school. A couple of the sponsors from Chennai had got behind him and got him some new surfboards, and now he stands a aspiration for many young kids in his village. So I next move on to my presentation. So yeah, I'm here representing Surfing Federation of India, which is the national governing body for surfing in India, which is also recognized by International Surfing Association. So what is surfing? So surfing is a sport that you do with using a surfboards and ride a wave, whether it's from right to left or left to right, and main thing is surfing. You have fun in the water. So next, see, these are some of the images from across India. And history of surfing, well, it goes back to about 14 to 15 years in India, and it started off around 1999 in 2000, and some of the foreigners coming here and surfing and leaving some boards, and and teaching one of the kids how to surf and all that. And the first surf club was established in 2004. That's where I come from, the Mantra Surf Club. That was an aspirational start from what we know. If you Google Surfing Swami, he's my teacher. He's from USA, and last year he celebrated 50th year of surfing. So he's 68 and he's still surfing. So that's the history of surfing in India. Yeah, then I told you about Surfing Federation of India. It's recognized, all that. We move on to the next. So International Surfing Association. It's also recognized by the International Olympic Committee as the world's governing body for surfing. So they hold different type of surfing competitions, and mainly in South America, and also in China. So World Junior Surfing Championship, World Surfing Games, Masters, and stand-up paddle and longboarding. These are different classes of surfing. And we move on to the next one. So yeah, so now also to get the sport in Olympics, there is a movement going on from all the national governing bodies to support the ISA. So right now we have about 78 nations that are the member of ISA, also supporting the movement of joining the Olympic Games in near future. So this is about me. Well, I started surfing in 2000. Fairly young. I'm 26 years old now, but I started surfing when I was 11, and my teacher was Mr. Jack, also known as Surfing Swami. So when I used to surf, I used to just do it for fun, and it's all about fun, surfing. But once I started, like around 2008 and 9, I started to think about, okay, we are getting more and more youngsters interested in surfing, both boys and girls. So what do we do with the sport? There is no organized manner to take the sport forward, also to set some disciplines, how it's done, and where it can be done, and what kind of season it can be done. So that kind of inspired me to to start the federation with my fellow surfers from our club. So now we are looking at establishing some of the state associations and surf clubs. So that's just a brief story about me, how I started. So every sport needs ambassadors. So these are 4 ambassadors that we have for the sport. At top of the list, all Indians might know, Mr. John Rhodes, the South African legend cricketer. After retiring from cricket, he took up surfing just to keep himself fit. So he's our main, one of the most, he's one of our ambassadors. So he comes at the events, and he kind of inspires the youngsters. It's just not about cricket; it's also about other sports, and he's there to promote the sport and things like that. and Paddy Upton. Paddy Upton is the second. He used to be the mental conditioning coach for Team India for cricket. So when they won the World Cup 2011, India, so he was coaching at that time. Just to give you a short story on him, he used to tell us a few story how he used to kind of inspire the national cricket team of India by giving example about surfing. So how is that? It's about a girl in Hawaii. Her name is Bethany Hamilton. This is in late 90s when she was surfing in one of the spots in Hawaii. She got her left arm bit off by a shark, and she used to be a very competitive athlete at that time, and that was a very sad tragedy that happened. But she didn't give up, and she kept on surfing, and she went on winning competitions, even though she didn't have the left arm to surf with, which is very much of an important, because when you're surfing you need both the arms to paddle. So she came up with a technique to keep her motivation going for surfing. So this gives an example of the motivation behind a sport, and courage that one needs to have to take the sport forward. So that's what Paddy used to tell us, that he used to tell the national cricket team when they come for a team meeting. He used to give this example of showing her and telling them that you don't have anything to lose, you're out there, go and win. So that's what he used to say. And the third personality is my teacher, Surfing Swami. So he is from US, born in Texas, brought up in Hawaii and California, and when he was very young, about 12, he took up surfing, and he came to India for seeking spiritual benefit, and he settled down here for last 45 years, and I moved into one of his only only a community living that he established down in Mysore. Then he started taking us around road trips, and that's how I got to learn surfing. This was all in 2002 and 3. So yeah, and he was the inspiration behind to start the federation as well. And last but the least, the Bollywood actor Sunil Shetty. So place where we are located is Mangalore, in a village called Mulki. That was a place where Sunil Shetty was born and brought up when he was a kid, and our clubs is out of there, and the federation. So one day he was flying on the SpiceJet airplane, and he came across a magazine, this in-flight magazine of SpiceJet, and there was an article about us, Mantra Surf Club and the Surfing Swamis from Mulki, in that flight, and he happened to open that, and he was kind of shocked because there was a new sport happening and right in his backyard. And so he approached and said, any help that you require, in the sense to come to the events and anything, just let us know. And he he's very busy, but we kind of keep him as an ambassador for the sport. So that's our fourth ambassador. So we move on. Now we have surf schools and clubs that are established along the coastline of India. So Mumbai, there's a school. Goa, there's 2 schools. In Karnataka we have 3 schools, and Kerala 2 schools. Then Tamil Nadu, out of all the states, have the most schools and the clubs, which is about 5 to 6, and one in Andhra Pradesh and another one is Orissa. So the sport is growing, very slow, but it is growing. And so we also do organize events, and 2 events that we did last year. So those are the 2 events: Spice Coast Open and the Kolang Point Classic. So grassroots sport behind soccer. So this is something new. Surfing itself is a very grassroots sport. It's just starting in India, and has only the numbers of about 140 to 160 surfers in India. When we look at other sport, with thousands numbers, and And yeah, our one of the goals is to reach out to the underprivileged boys and girls to get them learn surfing and also adopt the surfing in their life. Promoting, yeah, when we do surfing, surfers, as you know, they use the beach, and they are the only ones who keeps the beaches clean, because everybody else comes and trashes them, but they pick up the trash because it's their playground. So that kind of gives them a healthy environment. And SFI promoting sport, but also a clean, healthy lifestyle through surfing, because surfing is a sport, but mainly it is seen as a lifestyle, surfer's lifestyle. So that's about that. And this is one of our icon girl surfer. Her name is Jyoti. She is a 17 years old girl, and she goes to school, but lost her father fairly very young age when she was about 2 years old. So it's just her mother and sister and her, three of them. And she is very competitive, and yeah, and she won last year in competition. So that's how we try to promote and take it to not just to the boys, also to the girls, because they also need to learn about other sports. And she also got awarded ISA scholarship last year for about $1,000, and awarded. She is an ambassador for ISA in India now. And yeah, about Murthy, you already know. So that's the character from south of Chennai. So his goal is to prevent young boys in his village of smoking, drinking, getting into bad habits fairly very young age in the villages, and get them into surfing, get them into schooling. So he has a way to get them into surfing, is to make them go to school for 6 days, and they come on the Sunday, and the board is all for them. It's free of cost. They go there, they spend the whole day surfing. So he kind of gives that encouragement to, okay, you go to school, but come back here, learn surfing. So he's a motivational person in that village. So obviously, keeping the beaches clean is one of our main objective as well. The 5 pointers, basically how the surfing can grow more, is to facilitate the surf clubs and the surf schools with proper equipments and all that, and doing workshops and conducting international training sessions with international athletes at grassroots levels for the kids, and having national and international competitions.
Sure. I can see a fledgling sport in India, and my Aussie friends would find it ridiculous to, a country of 1.3 billion and 150 surfers. So, but anyway, we need to make a start somewhere. Can I now request Andrea? You want to sit and do it? Somebody can do the laptop for you.
And so there is an old fort. I was told it was very glamorous during the times of the Maharajas. Now everything is down in ruins, and nobody takes any notice of this village. So I went to the schools. I saw kids go to school, which is already a good sign. But I saw that the teacher are having chai somewhere in the shadow, and kids go home, and there was no learning and no teaching. So I felt a bit pity, because now it seems to be that the parents are aware of that it's important that kids get education, but sending them to school was obviously not enough. So we started giving English classes. We means my English Indian business partner and me. So we were setting up an English class where they could attend if they wanted in the afternoons. So then I realized, okay, these kids have nothing. Like, in Germany we have so many things that kids could do, playing an instrument, going to different sports, so many things that parents are only busy to shuttle their kids here and there. And in that village was nothing. So I thought, okay, if I could bring some hockey sticks, maybe they would have some fun. So everybody was laughing on me and said, Andrea, where they should play, who should coach them, and anyway, what should that be good for? So I said, yeah, let me try. It's no harm in trying. So I brought some sticks, and the ruling family, they provided some space in front of the old fort, which was very rough, sandy, stony, but at least it was some space to start off. So we called the kids. Around 100 kids came, boys and girls. We gave out 60 sticks, and the battle started. So there was no discipline, and obviously they didn't know what is hockey all about. So there was no grass, there was no root, and there was no development. So they might have known cricket because it's easy, you know. Cricket, you have even you have a piece of wood and a ball, and 20 kids are getting entertained. Or even football, you just throw a ball and everybody can play football. But hockey needs proper equipment. Everybody needs a stick. The rules are quite difficult, and you obviously need a proper ground to play on. Otherwise, it's no fun. Okay. So I first started to educate the village head so that he could tell the kids what it should be all about. I bought a second-hand screen and a beamer, and by the time it was getting dark, I tried to show them Chak De India. But then there was a power cut. So I said, okay, well, that doesn't work out well, and we gave it some try, but okay. Some of them knew Chak De India, so it was a bit easier. Then the next day we started again. So it was such a big crowd, and I couldn't, you know, I couldn't explain anything. I mean, okay, not knowing Hindi was one point, but nobody was listening. There was just too much noise, and they were so excited. So I was thinking, what I do? So I bought T-shirts in different colors, and I would learn the colors in Hindi. So I could say lal this side, hara this side, and safed this side. So at least I had some small groups, and I could, arrange some lessons. Okay. So we started one day boys, one day girls. So the boys would come every day because they were just keen to play, and they didn't accept that the girls also need their space. So whenever the sun was almost going down, the girls had to go home, and the boys would play until it's really, really dark. So, but I thought, wow, this is such an excitement. I started something I feel responsible for. So I was still shuttling between India and Germany. My business was still in Germany. So I was thinking what I do. So I tried to get some volunteers who could volunteer in the village, German volunteers, students, hockey players, who could cover the time when I'm not there. So I tried to reconstruct 2 rooms in that old fort, and the ruling family would feed me and the volunteers. So every day we had hockey practice, and so we were improving. And then I thought, okay, what I want in my life. Whenever I was in India, my business in Germany was down. Whenever I was in Germany, nothing moved on in the village. So I thought, okay, maybe I could limit my business a bit, and I could do it from the village itself. I can get an internet stick, and I could do some business, tourism online. Nowadays it will work. Okay, I gave up my flat, I sold my car, I gave up everything in Germany. I said to my parents, okay, I go. And they said, are you mad? My dad said, you are not Mother Teresa. I said, yeah, but this is not the point. The point is that I realized that I want to do something in life where maybe one day I can look back and it affected at least some people, that I improved their life, and it was good for their future. Okay, so the first night in that village, in my new constructed room, was like Indian style. I just entered, and the laborers walked out. Okay, so it was just finished. So it was August. It was bloody hot in Rajasthan. It was humid, and the cement on the floor was still wet. The color on the wall was still wet. So it was, even in the room, it was more humid than outside. So by the time I went to bed, I thought, how I survived that night. There was no electricity, so there was no fan, nothing. So I thought, okay, there are 5,000 people living in this village, and they will also survive this night. I will also survive. So, I woke up next morning. I thought, wow, I made the first night. And even the ruling family, they were like looking in my door, and is she still alive? Because even they couldn't believe that a foreigner would survive in that village. Okay, so that's how my adventurous life started in that village. I got used to all the power cuts, which was difficult for my business because I needed my laptop. And so by the time I gave up my business, I said, okay, maybe I can get some other source of income. I don't need much in that village, but at least I cannot continue my work. So the focus was on the kids and playing with them. Many things got connected, like, you know, the education. Then they just smashed their head somewhere. Not playing hockey. They just run somewhere and they fell down. So they came because they knew I have some spray and some plaster, and I could help them out. So by the time I got also almost the village doctor, you know, like, yeah. And then we continued with the English classes. But then I realized when they sit in the English classes, the school modus is on. It means brain is switched off, and they would just copy what is on the board. They would show you, and then they go home. But they didn't learn anything. So I tried to find out a concept how I could teach them so that the brain is on. So we did like games. We made a circle. We were throwing balls. My name is Andrea. What is your name? So we throw the ball. Then he had to say the name. It was very, very, very difficult to open their brains because they were not used to. Last year, I started my own school. And with the little ones, we played memory. Open memory, so that you can see the pictures. They were not even able to identify same pairs because they never did that. So it was really to start from below zero. And then, of course, the parents. The parents didn't care where the kids are during the day. As long as they come home when it's getting dark, that was fine with them. But then they said, okay, what does that foreigner have in mind? Why does she, what is her intention? How does she benefit out of that? If you do something in this country, you have to benefit. Especially coming from a place where everybody wants to live. And why does that woman alone come from far away and she lives now under these circumstances? Coaching our kids, what is her intention? They didn't understand. But then they read in the newspaper, near Delhi, one bus was kidnapped and all the kids were, the intestines were removed, the kidneys were removed. Maybe this is what she has in mind. Yeah. So some kids stopped playing because their parents wouldn't allow them to go with us anymore. So we brought them out for tournaments to Jaipur. So it was amazing to see all these first-time experiences with these kids. The first time in a train, the first time they saw a big building, they will ask, Andrea, how people go Uber? Yeah, I said, they have an elevator. Can we try? So the first time in an elevator, they blocked the whole hotel because they always went up and down. Or the first time we went to the really famous KD Singh Babu tournament under 14 in Lucknow. They have a very nice sports canteen. So for breakfast, they would serve butter, bread, eggs, porridge. So the kids were sitting there. They see the neighboring tables. All the teams are eating eggs. They never had eggs in their life. So the little one, Lokesh, the goalkeeper, he will say, Andrea, if I eat anda, I get strong. So yeah, you can try. So he grabbed one egg. So the whole team was watching him. Will he survive that egg? So Lokesh enjoyed that egg, so one or the other would go and also grab an egg. So by the end of the tournament, they ended up with having 3-4 eggs for breakfast. And then in the evening, one time they were serving chicken. Lokesh was the brave one who ordered chicken. His elder brother would say, don't eat that chicken. So I was curious, I know. So I asked his elder brother, I said, why you don't allow him to eat chicken? And he was thinking. And he said, Andrea, because background is there from a barber, same barber family, okay? Because chicken in temple not successful. So his explanation from home was that there is a bad ghost if you eat chicken, and it's still there. They are so conservative, and if something happens, it's always the bad ghost. Ghost is everywhere. The egg ghost, the chicken ghost, everywhere. Yeah, if you go on a road and there's a curve and you have an accident, there was a ghost. It's not that you overspeed, there was a ghost. It's like that. So then I started with the girls. It was very difficult with the girls because they didn't have that understanding for sport than the boys had. So I was very happy when the government school in the village and the neighboring village approached me and asked me if I could coach their girls. I was very happy. And then they said, yeah, because we want to go for a tournament. Wow, cool. When is the tournament? Next year? No, in 2 weeks. Yeah, how you expect me to teach girls who never did sports in their life, who've never seen a match, to prepare them for a tournament which happens in 2 weeks? Yeah, you will manage. Okay. It was the district tournament. Knowing there is no other team in the district, I agreed. I said, but we don't take them further. Only the district level, then finish. Next year maybe state level. Yeah, no problem. So we went to the district tournament.